What if you bought one stock and never sold it, not once, for 30 years? Most investors can't imagine that. They check their portfolio every day. They sell when prices drop. They buy when prices rise. They feel busy, active, in control. But here's the strange part. The investors who touch their portfolio the least often end up with the most money. That's not a motivational idea. It's math. And today we're going to break down exactly why holding beats trading, using real numbers, real history, and one story that shows what happens when you simply do nothing. Let's start with the problem. Most people think investing success comes from smart timing. Buy low, sell high, jump back in before the recovery. It sounds logical. It sounds like skill. But timing the market requires you to be right twice. You have to know when to sell before a drop, and you have to know when to buy back in before the recovery. Miss either one, and you lose more than you gained. Fidelity once studied its own accounts to see which customers had the best returns over time. The answer surprised even the analysts. The best performing accounts belonged to people who had forgotten they had a Fidelity account at all. Some were dead. Their accounts just sat there, untouched, compounding quietly while their families dealt with other things. That's not a joke about investing. It's a lesson about behavior. Now let's talk about why most people get this wrong. It comes down to a simple psychological trap. Watching your portfolio drop feels like losing money, even if you haven't sold anything. Your brain treats a paper loss the same way it treats a real one. So you sell to make the pain stop. But selling during a downturn is the one action that turns a temporary paper loss into a permanent real one. Here's the financial explanation. When you buy shares in a company, or in an index fund that owns hundreds of companies, you're not just buying a price. You're buying a piece of future earnings, future growth, and future dividends. The longer you hold, the more time those earnings have to compound. Compound interest is often called the eighth wonder of the world, and for good reason. It means your gains start generating their own gains. A dollar that grows 10% in year 1 isn't just worth 10 cents more. By year 20, that same dollar, left untouched, can be worth 6 or 7 times what you started with, purely because growth was building on top of growth, year after year. But every time you sell and buy back in, you reset that clock. You also disrupt something less obvious: dividend reinvestment. If you own a broad market index fund, part of your return comes from dividends being automatically reinvested to buy more shares. Miss that reinvestment window because you were sitting in cash trying to time the market, and you miss out on shares that would have kept compounding for you. Let's look at real numbers. Between 2003 and 2022, the S&P 500 averaged just over 9% a year for investors who stayed fully invested. But here's the catch. If you missed just the 10 best days in that 20-year window, your average return was cut by more than half. And here's what almost nobody expects. Many of the best market days happen right after the worst ones. In 2020, some of the strongest single-day gains in market history came within 2 weeks of the pandemic crash. Investors who panicked and sold during the crash often missed the sharpest part of the recovery, because it happened fast, and it happened while confidence was still low. This is the myth we need to clear up. A lot of people believe active trading is the safer, smarter path, because it feels like you're protecting your money. But over long periods, most professional fund managers who actively trade fail to beat a simple index fund that just holds the market and does nothing. Not most amateurs. Most professionals, with research teams and decades of experience that have trained experts, can't consistently beat a strategy of holding and waiting. The odds are not in favor of the average investor trying to outtrade the market either. So what does buy and hold actually look like in practice? Say you invested $10,000 in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund in 2003 and simply left it alone. No panic selling in 2008. No panic selling in 2020. Just automatic contributions added along the way through dollar-cost averaging, meaning you invested a fixed amount on a regular schedule, regardless of what the market was doing that day. By 2023, that original investment, left untouched through 2 major crashes, would have grown several times over. Not because the investor was brilliant, because they simply stayed out of their own way. Compare that to an investor who tried to trade around the same 2 crashes, selling in fear and buying back in once things felt safe again. In almost every historical case, that investor ends up with less money, more stress, and more fees from constant buying and selling. Here's your actionable strategy. First, if you're investing for the long term, choose a diversified, low-cost index fund or ETF rather than trying to pick individual winning stocks. Diversification means your money is spread across many companies, so one company failing doesn't sink your entire portfolio. Second, set up automatic contributions. This forces dollar-cost averaging, so you're buying consistently whether the market is up or down, instead of trying to guess the perfect moment. Third, and this is the hard part, build a plan to ignore short-term drops. Not because market crashes don't matter, but because trying to dodge them usually costs more than riding them out. Here's the key insight most people miss. The market doesn't reward the smartest investor. It rewards the most patient one. Every major index has recovered from every crash in its history, given enough time. The investors who lost the most weren't the ones who lived through a crash. They were the ones who sold during it. Doing nothing sounds passive. But in investing, doing nothing, at the right moment, is often the most powerful decision you can make. If you want to learn more about investing, wealth building, and financial freedom, subscribe to Finance Lab and turn on notifications.